Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Jew Talk, the greatest show on earth. This guy says, this may get me banned or canceled, but I'm going to ask this question anyways. Okay. It seems like every marginalized group out there, Jews included, are basing their outlook on life from a victim's perspective. Interesting. For example, because of the fear of further discrimination, certain Jewish sects have become more closed off to outsiders. Hasidics in New York, for example. On my last question, you also mentioned that the basis for having a fully Jewish homeland is so that Jews can escape to somewhere in case of a Holocaust. I don't believe that I said that as a main reason. I believe that I was saying what some people use as one of the reasons, because I don't share my personal opinions. So my question is, will these more closed-off Jews ever open up to the idea of a more modern, Semitic tolerant world, or do you think their victim complexes prevent them from doing something more liberal? So here's the thing, right? So you're phrasing it as Jews in general, of having a victim complex, and then you're saying specifically Hasidic Jews in New York, if they'll ever be more open-minded to letting other civilizations in. So here, I guess we could go through this bit by bit. Right, I don't believe that the Jewish community as a whole lives their life from a victim perspective. I know I don't. I know many of my friends don't, right? I don't think that's necessarily a healthy thing to say about all Jews. Because it's simply just not true. It sounds like you might be in certain echo chambers, right? Because that's just not at all my perspective. A lot of Jews I know, if something bad happens, or if something bad happens to Jews or whatever, we just say F it, we ball, and we move on in life and we continue whatever. There might be some Jews that use that as excuse to have victim mentality. Great, but majority of Jews don't. From my personal experience of being in the community, we're taught to just keep on working, right? We're taught that we have a lot of traumas and that Jews historically have been through a bunch of bad shit. But at the same time, we're taught to just suck it up and become successful anyways, you know? And then you get on the whole tangent about Hasidic Jews, if they'll ever be more open to letting the outside world in. And what you're saying, respectfully, it comes from... it sounds like you don't understand a lot of context of why they're like that. These guys, right? Obviously, from your perspective, it's, stop playing the victim and they're whatever. Those Hasidic Jews in those communities are literally, first off, yeah, there's so much generational trauma of being persecuted and pogroms and then kicked out consistently, like so many times that they don't trust anybody at all because of what society has done to them. And you're saying, would they ever be open to letting them in? Well, their only experience of whenever people join their communities is people trolling them, people getting their phones out and recording them, right? So it's pretty hard to have an open mind of letting people expanding the horizons and whatever, when their only experience with the outside world and communities is people being really mean to them and recording them for content. You know, Hasidic Jews, they look and act a certain way, and, you know, they used to be in society, but lots of bad things would happen to them, sadly. So, you know, they felt no choice but to put themselves in their own community. So now it's funny, it's like, will they ever escape that? Well, whenever they tried escaping it, they ended up back where they started, right? So I don't think... in regards to the first question of of Jew, right? Because this guy, your question starts off with all Jews base their life on victim mentality, and then you specifically specify Hasidic Jews. So, it's good to separate. And even so, like, I understand why the ultra Hasidic communities just make their own things and hide away from everybody else, because they're sick of it and they don't want to deal with it. And I can understand. Me personally, I'd just be chilling. I'd be living life. If something bad happens to me, I move on. But, I don't walk around with freaking long payest, sideburns down my freaking whatever. And, I have a completely different upbringing. So it's not the same relation. But I appreciate you for asking that question, and hopefully the world could come to a place where they could get to a point where they could be open with everybody and everyone could be nice to each other. Because right now their only experience with the outside world is people you see videos online of people just being very mean to them and using them for social media content. That's why they hide in those communities. But hopefully I answered your question to some extent. And if you guys have any questions that you want to ask, join the Discord server and put it in the JEWTALK suggestions channel. Literally, God bless.